Hi everyone, this is Amanda, the Emotional Strength Trainer. Welcome to week 2 of April, Energy Healing. This is the Emotional Strength Training session that I do for the group that I have with my subscription. And this is the first part that I've decided to make a public video for, to give back to humanity a little bit as we go through this very ordinary time in our life. And I hope that you will receive it with the energy and the love from which it's been created. So if you haven't seen my work before, I have a unique process that I've been developing since 2009. I can see trauma stuck in the collective energy as well as individuals if you book in on a one-on-one session. And I ask to be shown what's no longer required or needed as part of our highest and greatest good, and then I start getting pictures in my third eye and I just start describing what I'm seeing. Everything that I'm speaking comes to the surface and gets swept away. It's not going to be brought to the surface for you to have to deal with again. So make sure that when you're listening to this session, you have a notebook and you also have a big jug of water or a bottle of water to make sure you stay hydrated through this. This is an energy exchange and you will need to allow the energy a pathway out of your body, and hydration is the best way to do that. This work cannot hurt, harm or hinder you in any way, shape or form. I have set an intention before I come onto the video that protects everybody's energy as they come in to listen to this space. So nobody else's energy is going to touch you. This is just that very important work that helps to clear the consciousness, the collective consciousness that we're all a part of. Okay, every single one of us forms a part of the collective, and this is what this session is for. So if you have anyone that's not coping very well, it's just a case of listening. You do not have to do anything further if you don't want to. Sometimes there might be a little bit of homework that's suggested as part of the plan, and you can sign up for my Heads Up community, which is a free community that gives you actions to take throughout your life to help you through anything that is holding you back, because I find patterns and I talk about those patterns and then I give you tips on how to clear it out. So this work is backwards. This isn't projecting or forecasting into the future. It works perfectly with the people that you may be listening to in the light worker community that do give you forecasts for the week ahead or the day ahead or anything like that. This helps to clear out the gunk from your system that is holding you back, the neural pathways that get built around stories and how you exist in the energy that is currently keeping us all on the top of our toes at the moment. So I'm going to say an affirmation to start with. I use the term God. It is the term that I use for the all of everything. It is outside of religious structure. It is just a term meaning love. So if you're ready, make sure you've got the water and let's get started. Nice big deep breath in and out. And I will begin. In God's light, I request that all known and unknown negative images, unhealthy beliefs, destructive cellular memories, and all physical issues associated to every member of the collective be found open and healed. I ask that the information be provided in a clear and concise manner that's easy to understand, and I'm specifically shown what is no longer in our highest and greatest good so that it can be brought to the surface to allow us to go forward in this week ahead with strength, resilience, and conviction in our purpose for being here. Thank you for making today's session 100 times stronger than normal. Okay, so that's just the energy part. I'm going to close my eyes again and ask the greater whole to walk into my mind's eye, which is the image that I get for the collective consciousness, and I'll start describing what I can see. Okay, so the collective consciousness has walked in with as a human form, which is always a good sign, and it has walked in as a human form with the jaw being really heavy and really sort of like mechanical. So again, I want to say it does look like it's a metal jaw. And if you ever remember sometimes in cartoons or anything like that, the jaw is shown as a like a chomping metal. It's undershot, so it's the teeth are poking out, that sort of thing. So the grief aspect of what is being shown up here and how it's affecting us with this information about what jaw is. So one of the resources I use is the Secret Language of Your Body book by Ina Segal. So jaw equals holding tension, stress, suppression, difficulty communicating how you feel, judgment, criticism, fear, inability to stand up for yourself and ask for what you want, guilt, blame, fault finding, feeling locked in, holding on to anger and resentment, stuck in a pattern without knowing how to break free and move forward. Now, I know last week I sent out a warning to people to make sure that they stayed alert to the possibility of blamers and the angry people, okay? So this is showing me that that's in fact what happened, and the burden to the collective consciousness and those of you like me who are trying to navigate the energy. The best thing that is going to come from this, because it's also part of your communication tools. You know, I had a big reminder yesterday associated to boundaries. As I was going off to sleep last night, one of my favorite people to follow is a lady, Dawn, and I just can't right now remember the name of her page, but she's a New Zealand tarot reader. And she gives you the opportunity of choosing 3 sets of cards to get your message for the week ahead. And I chose number 2 set, and the message was associated to boundaries. And then last night at 2 a.m, my dog started barking like there was someone in the backyard. And I jumped up, and my youngest son jumped up as well. And he went out onto the back deck to see what was wrong with our dog. And all of a sudden, he was so close to touching this. It was a possum, a brush-tailed possum, up on our veranda, which how it got up there, I'll never know. But it looked really calm and, you know, nothing. But those things, if you go near them, they'll scratch your eyes out. They're really, they're cute and fluffy, but they're not very friendly. You know, they're not a teddy bear that you can pick up and have a cuddle with. But the energy, when I found the animal totem message behind it, is again about boundaries. So given that's 2 boundary messages within a few short hours for me personally, but that's also what this is talking about here with the, you know, the guilt, blame, fault finding. There is a very definite anatomy associated to what is going on with the energy that's coming through for us all as we all have to navigate this process. We have to trust the establishment doing the right things. Everybody has, you know, there's difficulties with working and finances and children in school, all of those sorts of things. Then if you need to go to the supermarkets, then you've got people who aren't following social distancing rules, and then it brings up all of this judgment and anger and all of those sorts of things. And one of the things that is very important about this time, and why this big jaw and how heavy it is, because the burden of having to carry this kind of heavy jaw full of all those emotions that I've just spoken about is impacting your neck. So if you've had any headaches at the back of your head, especially like just at the bottom of where your skull hits, then this is going to help alleviate that, because neck equals relationship problems, which makes me laugh because all of the memes that are coming out now about people having to work at home with their spouses where they've never had to do that before, and sharing jobs and all sorts of things. And some of the memes are really funny because you just don't, you know, there's a reason why we go out to work, and there's only relatively a handful of people that are spouses that can work together. You don't generally. So relationship problems, inability to communicate feelings, difficulty making commitments, feeling stuck, inflexible, pressured, or like someone or something is strangling you. And that's the part, you know, we're still all navigating our own ability to stay healthy, our own ability to keep those that we have loved ones that are healthy, following the rules, going through the motions of speaking to the companies that you have to if you need payments stopped or all those sorts of things. Like, everyone is in it, everyone. And part of your plan going forward needs to be documenting and communicating. That's one of the things. I'm keeping a diary of this time so that I can share it with my grandchildren about what it looked like and sounded like in 2020, the decade of great transformation, which is now a year of great transformation, that we would never have thought that we would be going through something like this in the 21st century, but here we are. And it's part of your reason for being here, if you like, that you're going to be able to navigate everything associated to who you are, how you want to communicate, how you want to live, what you're doing. But if this grief is stopping and the heaviness of the jaw, it's hard to keep speaking. So if you think about that, if you have been a little bit like a broken record on a couple of things with people or within yourself, now is a time to step back, to be able to really sit back and have a look at where you can stay in your own lane, even within your own home. Even if you have all of your family are at home and you're being an individual in that household, you still need to stay in your own lane when it comes to this part of your life. And you can do that. If other people in your house are making different choices for themselves, or the kids are arguing, or all of those sorts of things, as long as the children, that they're safe, that they're not going to harm themselves, then shut the door and go and give yourself some time. Communicate effectively. I had to chuck a tantrum pretty much. I think I may have spoken about this last week, where I had to jump up and down on the spot and say, when is it going to be my turn to be listened to when it came to eating dairy food in our household. So it's one of those things where maybe you have to stamp your foot. Maybe you do. And if you do, then you have to accept the response from the people around you. Navigating other people's choices and behaviors will bring everything unstuck. Okay? So I'm just going to make sure that that jaw is removed. You know, if you've had any TMJ issues, if, you know, this part of your face here, the muscles, you know, chiropractic is really good for that as well. Grinding your teeth is also another thing. Clenching your teeth because you're frustrated or angry or anything like that. You know, there's a new wave of anger coming through at how this could happen. I've put up a warning the other day, all of this racist stuff associated to China. You know, the same thing. Here's a good example. Every part of what we're going through is associated to nothing can stay the same as it was before. So the idea that as soon as everybody can stop self-isolating, that the world is going to go back to how it was, is very wrong and very mistaken, because we can't go back to the way it was. So for example, here in Queensland, we've now seen, and the news is out, that people are starting to manufacture goods in Australia because we can't trust the supply lines out of China. And then goods out of China were sent over to Australia, and 800,000 items or something were faulty. So you see this way of doing what you can quickly, or doing what you can in the cheapest possible way, or just, you know, trying to solve problems without thinking it through, without looking at the bigger picture. This is what has to stop. The fact that the jaw has shown up as in the collective as the main issue is, again, are you speaking too much instead of stopping and listening and taking counsel from your body and how you feel? Because that's a really big part of what's going on for you right now. You need to be able to understand that you will benefit from not having to speak, not having to air your truth, not having to have a voice right now. There are loads of other people outside of this healing space that are doing that for you. right now you're being forced to go within and to really ask yourselves the question, is this how I want to live? Is this how I want to feel? Is this what I want from myself? It's funny, last year or early this year, I set myself the intention that I wanted to be joyously present in any given moment in my life. That was my intention and little affirmation thingy that would be the foundation of any decision that I made. And I found myself baking over the weekend because my kids are just like hoovers that will eat anything. And I thought, I'll go back to the good old days where I used to control the contents of their food. I can reduce sugar quantities. I can use different products. Like I made all of these cookies and slices and stuff on gluten-free flour. None of them knew that. But if I'd said, these are gluten-free cookies, they wouldn't have eaten them. So it's the same thing, like being discerning with the information that you use, but staying in your own lane. Every part of what I made was full of love, and I felt very fulfilled and satisfied, if you like, that when I finished, they looked good and they tasted yummy, and I was present when I was making them. And that was all part of my story. Okay? You don't have to tell everyone or be everywhere, or, at the beginning of this process, I was like telling everybody about the trio of health, which is what that little logo means, around washing your hands and following all the hygiene protocols, and then doing the chemical immune system, the structural immune system, and the emotional immune system. And I was like, just do this, just do this. But it's the same thing. Like, I know what creates inflammation in my body and my kid's body, my husband's body. I can share and give you that kind of information, but you've got to make the choices for yourself. Some people, it's not, and that ceases to be the responsibility. But some people, they don't care. They don't take responsibility, where hyper-responsible people seem to want to take the responsibility for everything and everyone. And you have to find a happy medium, okay? So that jaw is coming away, and a healthy jaw. I want to read the start of joints, actually, because that TMJ thing is really showing up as a big. So if you've had any pain in the side of your face, suppressing or pushing down pain from the past, especially guilt, resentment, and anger. So that makes sense because of the quantity of anger and perhaps guilt or resentment in the collective that's floating around all of us and all the time, so that it helps you to understand how that energy will impact you as you go through, okay? So that has been, that's been taken away and moved. Okay, so that's all there is for the collective from that position of what is going on in the collective this week. So you're now welcome, if you would like, to click down in the description. There is an ability for you to purchase the extended part of this reading, where I'm going to go through the 7 chakras in our body and do like an alignment, an energetic alignment, to bring everything together to help you. But if that's not your thing and you just wanted the information to start out of what's the biggest impact of the collective in the last week of what you've been through, then enjoy the gift and do your own work on it. Journaling, meditation, any of those sorts of things. Memories, don't forget. Over the weekend was the end of that, having a look at your life from 2007 and 2008 to know that that part of the ending is here now. And I had a massive aha over the weekend about it, massive, which then was enabled me to make decisions going forward on what I want for myself, because the pattern that showed up from 2007 to this year, I just couldn't miss it. And it took me, 3 or 4 days. I saw one kind of pattern and then the big one hit me. I'm like, rightio, I'm not making that decision anymore. That information you would get on my Heads Up community. So the link will be in the copy below as well. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope this resonated. Share with your friends if you have anyone in your life that needs it. Hit the share button, leave me a comment and a like, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.